Round of this event. Phil is taking on internet qualifier Alicia Kunze, who outlasted over 10,000 players to earn the right to play Phil Ivey in the first round.
Yeah, how about that for a reward? Young lady from Greensburg, Indiana, her first trip to Las Vegas.
Phil has called Ivey with Jack Deuce, and Alicia has Ace King. The flop comes King, Queen, Trey, all spades.
Both players have a spade. Kunze's got the ace, Ivey's got the jack. Kunze's also got top pair, top kicker, way the best hand here.
Kunze has bet 600. And Ivey raises it up to 1,800.
Now, Kunze did raise this pot pre-flop. Ivey's trying to take it away from her right here, but she is not going anywhere with top pair and the nut flush draw.
Alicia calls, and the turn's a 10 of spades.
Ouch. Ivey's got the second nut flush. Kunze's got the nut flush, and now she's going to lead into him after he raised her on the flop. She's not trying to get creative.
Ivey simply calls.
And that's a pro move. No reason for him to raise at this point.
River's a 7 of hearts.
Only the 9 of spades would have saved Ivey on the end.
Alicia bets out 2,000.
That bet is only a quarter of the pot size. Ivey getting 5 to 1 on a call.
And trying to read through her sunglasses, Ivey does call, and Alicia takes down the pot.
23-year-old amateur jumps out to an early chip lead.
That's a nice little start, Philly.
Phil's mom, Pamela, hoping to bring Phil some of the luck that has escaped him in this event. He's already down 2 to 1 in chips.
Still very early. The blind's just at 150 and 300.
7-5 for Alicia. She calls.
Eager to see how she's going to respond to having the early chip lead. It's obviously an advantage, but a responsibility as well. Could feel like a bit of pressure to her.
And the flop, both players flop a pair, but Kunze has a straight draw.
Yeah, top pair for Phil, middle pair with that straight draw, Matt. She's going to flat call.
Turn is a jack of diamonds. Ivey bets 1,200. Alicia will call. And the river, Queen of clubs.
2 overcards to the 8 now, but unlikely that Alicia hit either of those two.
Phil bets 2,000.
And here's the difference between a pro and an amateur. Ivey, undeterred, fires a third barrel. Good value bet as he picks up an extra 2,000 from Alicia on the end.
So Ivey gets some chips back as we head over to 2 favorites in every year of this event. However, in a single elimination tourney, anything can happen.
And don't be mistaken, Matt, it's difficult for a professional player to go up against an amateur. They're such a wild card. You just don't know how much of the game they understand and how they're interpreting things.
Suited Jack-9 for Phil, suited 8-4 for Alicia. Flop comes 6 Jack-Deuce, a pair of jacks for Phil.
And an air ball for Alicia, who is reaching for chips. Good flop texture to bet at here, and I feel like this is the byproduct of some of Daniel Negreanu's tutelage. He helped her prior to this match.
Ivey calls. 6 of spades on the turn.
Now Alicia's picked up a flush draw.
She bets 1,200.
No reason to get out of line for Phil. He's going to just call.
Alicia pairs her 8 on the river, but Phil's jacks and 6s are still the better hand.
She's finally got something. Not enough, though.
She bets 1,700.
Take those sunglasses off.
Phil trying to get a read on her. Ivey calls and takes down the pot.
Alicia's conceding the pot here. Ivey rolls his hand over first out of courtesy, but that courtesy is going to come at the expense of some information.
So Phil Ivey, the gentleman that he is, cuts the amateur to a 2-to-1 chip advantage. Ali, what does Kunze need to do to come back in this match?
Simply maintain her composure. There's a big difference between being out-chipped and short-stacked. She's got 13,000 and change with the blinds at 2 and 400. Plenty of play left.
She calls with ace-deuce. Suited tray deuce for Philly checks. And the flop pairs Phil's tray.
Bottom pair with no kicker for Phil. He'll lead right out. Alicia's got the ace high and the wheel draw.
Alicia calls.
She's also got the ace of hearts.
7 of spades on 4th Street.
Hearts won't matter anymore, but Phil's picked up a spade flush draw to go with his threes.
And he bets 1,200. Alicia calls.
She could have released her hand here. Now she needs a non-spade ace or 5.
Instead of 9 of clubs. Ivey checks.
Oh, he's going to shut it down and give her control of the pot, and she is going to waste no time reaching for chips. Look at this, Matt.
Alicia doesn't like to check. She bets 1,700. And much to Phil's chagrin, she's maintaining a pretty good poker face here. He's thinking, you internet kid, you can't be this good.
This could be a busted heart draw.
And Phil folds his hand.
Alicia Kunze just stole a pot from Phil Ivey.
What it's got to be like to beat 10,000 people to get to this event.
I'd love to, Matt, but unfortunately I don't know. I have enough trouble beating a field of 100 players. It is an astronomical feat. That is a bigger field than any World Series main event champ has ever outlasted.
She has raised to 1,200 with Jack 8. Phil calls. And the flop. And both players get a piece of this. Jacks for Alicia, but 2 pair for Phil.
Yeah, this is going to be trouble. Phil has checked over to Alicia. Lucky for him, she's flopped a jack. He's in great shape so far.
She bets 1,700. Phil quickly calls.
Patient call by Phil.
Turns a queen of spades.
He's going to let her fire another barrel here.
Instead, she checks.
Lucky for her, too. He probably would have check raised her. And look at the river, Matt. Alicia has caught up. She's got jacks and 8s now.
Phil bets out 3,500.
Pretty sizable bet.
What should Alicia do here?
Well, the safe thing to do is just call. You don't want to face a re-raise if you put one in.
She does call, and by doing so, she takes down the pot.
And Ivey's surprised his hand was no good. He had to think 3s and 4s were a winner when she just called.
Alicia.
Well, Phil's back is definitely up against the wall. He's not going to panic, though.
Courtesy of the Vonage pocket cam, Phil with ace-6, he calls. Alicia suited with Jack 5.
Well, Phil wants to get to the flop without putting a lot of chips in there. He's got to favor himself in decision-making situations. But look at this, Alicia continuing to keep the pressure on. She's raising it.
Another 1,300 to Phil, and he calls. Flop comes 6-9-5.
Both players have got a pair here. Bottom pair for Alicia, middle pair for Phil.
Alicia bets 1,300.
Ivey's right around the 10 blind range now at this point.
Update on table 4. Alicia
Those
Kunze
percentages do not add up to 100 because this could still end in a
now.
chop.
Phil Ivey.
And Phil moves all in. Alicia folds her hand.
Phil takes down the pot.
Well, he's going to need a few more pots like that, Matt, to crawl back into contention. But like I say, he doesn't want to get hasty pre-flop. He wants to take flops and
Get kings for Alicia.
that's going to make things difficult for Phil. If she keeps picking up big hands, he is going to be in a world of hurt.
Alicia raises to 3,300. Aces
hello.
for Ivey.
That'll work. This is what we like to call a cooler in poker, Matt. So incredibly unlikely that in a heads-up match, 2 kings will run into 2 aces.
Phil re-raises.
Now notice, this is a very small re-raise from Phil. He wants to make sure that Alicia's going to call him here. Little does he know, her 2 kings are probably going to warrant a re-raise.
And Alicia re-raises to put Phil all in, and he quickly calls.
We're all in.
She doesn't realize she's put them all in just yet. She'll get the memo in a second here.
Good call.
I got 2 aces. Wow. Are you serious? That is sick. Pretty unlucky for you, but you might win, so not that big a deal. I was pretty lucky all day yesterday, so I'm due to lose a hand.
Ivy sympathizing with Alicia's plight here.
Aces against
Flop
kings
is
over here.
4-8
Phil against
tray.
Alicia. Phil has the aces. They're good on
No
the
help
flop.
for
3, 4,
Alicia.
8.
She's going to need running hearts or a king ball.
Whoa.
Here's the turn.
4 of diamonds on 4th Street. Fewer out still for
Wins the match
Alicia.
with the king, if not Phil Ivey.
Phil Ivy's a card away from a big-time double up here.
And it
Rivers
is
of
another
4 of clubs.
4.
Phil
Tables
Ivey
for
takes
Alicia.
down the
Good.
pot and indeed doubles
Ivey
up.
Doubles up. Aces versus kings.
Phil has even the stacks here. But it's not like it was at the beginning of this match. The blinds are all the way up to 6 and 1200 in this marathon. Stacks not quite as deep as they once were.
Blinds at 6 and 1200, and who'd have thought, Ali, that these two would be the last standing in the spades bracket?
Well, most certainly not me, Matt. You've got the pre-tournament favorite going against an amateur internet qualifier from Greensburg, Indiana. Not exactly the mecca of poker.
Suited 10 deuce. Phil puts in a raise to 3,200. Suited Jack 4 for Alicia.
Not exactly Group A hands, but you don't want to soften up now. Can't always sit back and wait for aces and kings, and Alicia knows that. She defends.
The flop. Deuce 8 tray. Phil pairs his deuce, but a flush draw for Alicia.
She leads right out. She knows a flop like that is unlikely to have hit Phil's hand if he raised pre-flop.
I'm all in.
Phil moves all in.
Declared all in.
That is a gutsy all-in by Phil Ivey. He's got bottom pair with a 10 kicker, could easily be beat in this spot, and now the decision is on Alicia. This is a classic scenario where sitting at home and knowing what the hole cards are make you think this decision is so easy, but Alicia doesn't know what Phil's holding. And as such, she gets away from her flush draw. Reality was the price was right, and she should have stuck her stack in there.
Let's check in with Leanne. 6,000 in chips. 7s for Alicia here.
Mullen.
And she moves all in.
Now's as good a time as any.
I call.
Jack 9 good enough for Phil to call the all-in.
He's going to try to felt her here and now. 2 over cards against a pocket pair.
And Phil pairs his 9 on the flop, ace 10-9.
Poor Alicia's been out flopped.
1-7.
Turns a queen of clubs.
1-7.
She's down to one of 2 remaining 7s in the deck to avoid elimination. Can she do it?
She cannot. It's a jack of diamonds on the river. And Phil Ivey finally gets the first round monkey off his back as he advances to the round of 32.